special good morning to listeners, those of you via Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9. Good morning and welcome to The Point. Let's say good morning also to our viewers, GBN TV, Channel 7, Channel 11 or Channels 20. Good morning, welcome our social media audience, those of you via various platforms, whether it's the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, GBM's webpage, gbn.gd. Good morning and welcome. It's Thursday, the 6th day of July, and this morning, usually on Thursdays, we do entertain various departments within the Royal Grenada Police Force, and this morning we have the traffic department with me this morning. Of course, I like to refer to him as our regular when it comes to the traffic department. We have Corporal Troy Paul with me this morning, and of course Corporal Philip James with me this morning. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, and thank you for having us another time in your studios.
As I said, use a regular when it comes to traffic. use a regular. Corporal James, I think it's the first time I'm having you in the studio for be part. I'm not sure if it's first time to the point, but first time I'm having you being part of the traffic department.
I'm here with you, but I've been here.
You've been here before. All right. Well,
good morning and welcome.
Welcome to my edition of To the Point. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Our topic of discussion this morning, we're going to be diverging a lot into road safety. I guess the traffic department has a campaign out now, but you would like to speak a lot about road safety issues that can develop, especially for pedestrians and drivers, just road users in general.
Yes.
I would say we want to talk about that this morning. Any intro you want to go at before we get into in depth in terms of the conversation this morning?
Yes. Road safety has always been paramount for the traffic department, and from time to time we've done, I shouldn't say time to time, continuously we've done what is necessary and what we can in relation to help have safer roads for all road users, and we have also seen an increase in the number of accidents on our nation's road, and therefore we have an obligation and responsibility to share information as it relates to road safety to the public so that we can curb and reduce the number of accidents and let persons know in relation to the manner in which they should drive, not just only drivers but also pedestrians and how they use the road network, so that we can definitely see a reduction in the number of accidents reported and the manner in which persons drive on our nation's road, and also pedestrians using the road network.
All right. Any opening remarks from you, Corporal James?
Yeah, in light of the discussion on road safety, I think it's of paramount importance that we as a department, try to reinforce and take the necessary steps or action to just remind persons of their responsibility. What we look for here is to ensure that persons use our road network with prudence, and at all times that you are stay responsible. In that, yes, they are recognized there have been an increase in accidents, but those accidents could be avoided with the use of prudence and making a better judgment on our nation's road.
All right. I want to kick off the conversation this morning in terms of the use of device, pedestrians, drivers, and so forth. It seems to be one of the pivotal problems that arrives, especially when it comes around to we're seeing accidents occurring and so forth. The use of devices when it comes to pedestrian and drivers. Give us some a little feedback on that. Who's going to take it? The mantle on that.
Yes. So, mobile device or the use of mobile device while driving has become a nuisance. From time to time, you would see drivers and you see them on the phone or with a phone in their hand or whatever device. But I'm not just only sticking to the fact of a mobile device, but on a broader base, distraction. That is the key word here, distraction. And having a mobile device in your hand or in your ear or for whatever it is while you're driving is a major distraction. Because driving requires a level of focus and attention, and yet still you're trying to multitask with a device in your hand, whether it may be focusing on a call, trying to send a text message, or whatever it is. That takes away from your ability, or it will take away from your ability to properly maneuver that vehicle, because it's what we call multitasking. and as I said, it requires a level of focus and attention while driving alone, because remember, you have to activate all your senses.
All right.
You have to be able to hear properly, to see what's happening, and so forth. But when you have a mobile device in your hand, it will take away of that, and then therefore it poses a major distraction to someone driving along the nation's road. And as we said, it's an offense that has become prevalent, because we're seeing the statistics in relation to the amount of persons that have been charged for the offense of using a mobile device, or even holding it, because as you said, holding it is also an offense under section 77B1 and B2. Just using it or holding it is an offense while you're driving.
Okay. All right. You know, we spend a lot of focus. Something I wanted to kind of redirect our focus away. We spend a lot of attention. We know of the problem that can occur, especially when it comes to drivers using their mobile device or whatever device while you're driving. Should be a no-no. But something I think that we tend to not put a lot of attention to is when it comes to pedestrians. You know, we see pedestrians walking, using the roads, and on their cell phones. Some of folks, a big problem I see, I have noticed, maybe I shouldn't maybe call it a big problem. Folks walking with headphones in their ear, you understand, and walking the street and so forth. What kind of advice would you like to throw to that? Like, is there anything that actually governs the use of that, of devices, especially when it comes to pedestrians?
What I want to encourage you at all times is that as a pedestrian or a person using the road network, that stay responsible. Mm-hmm. You know, don't take an action and by your own negligence can create an accident. What we encourage in particular is that as a pedestrian, where sidewalks are available, we encourage you to use the sidewalks. Okay. And also in traversing the road, we advise that you walk on the side of the road of the oncoming traffic, not your back to the traffic. Okay? Persons attempting to wanting to use the crossing, we advise that you do so swiftly. Ensure that the vehicle comes to a stop. Maybe, for whatever reason, remove your headphones or don't have them all plugged into your ear, but somehow that you can still hear and you have vision, regarding. Person, you notice persons are attempting to cross the pedestrian crossing and they're still down on the phone. They head down, And it's important that you're able to make contact with the driver and cross that road swiftly. So what we want to advise that persons, take action and let not something happen to your own negligence, that an accident occur and it's because of my negligence. I was not looking, I was not, I did not hear. But the reason that you're not able to hear is because you have your phone in your hand. You're on the roadway, there are trucks, here it is that motorists or drivers may give you a notice, of the intention. Or here it is that they're indicating that they want to turn left, they want to turn right. But you're down in your phone, you have no idea, and you just continue to traverse. But you recognize that if an accident were to occur there, it might just be of your negligence. But at the same time, we just want to encourage drivers, be prudent, be watchful, be responsible on our roads.
I would also want to ask this: is there any laws that governs that? Could you see sometimes, especially individuals who ride in bicycles and so forth? I have noticed it, with headphones on and stuff like that. Is there any law in Grenada that governs? I know it's in some other international countries. You can't ride a bicycle with a headphone on or anything of the sort. Is there any laws in Grenada that governs that? Is there any?
Persons riding and using a mobile device can still be charged for using a mobile device, but however, more so under the Miscellaneous Act, where you have a cell phone, it's and it causes distraction and so forth. At least you're riding same as a driver without due care and attention.
Yes.
So you can still be charged for riding without due care and attention under the Miscellaneous Act, under the Road Traffic Regulations, Volume 9 of the 2010 Continuous Revised Edition of the Laws of Grenada.
All right. Hey, folks, it's to the point this morning here. This morning we have the Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force. We drew for a break. Let's take our first break in this segment, and when we come back, we continue with our conversation. Stay with us, folks. We're coming right back.
NIS, our team proudly works to support the evolving needs of Grenadians. We have made some changes to our operations and want to keep you informed. Firstly, we are happy to introduce the new unemployment benefit. This benefit will provide an insured person with 50% of his or her former income in the case of sudden unemployment. To support this benefit and other benefits we offer, it was necessary to increase the contribution rate. The contribution rate will increase gradually each year until it reaches 16% in 2031. As always, the contribution will be split between you and your employer. The pensionable age will also increase from 60 to 65 years. This increase will also be gradually reaching age 65 in 2029. Pensioners will continue to be eligible for a pension from age 60, but will receive a reduced payment. The NIS recognizes that the prices of basic customer goods are increasing globally. Therefore, we are happy to also increase the weekly minimum pension payment by 25%. Finally, we have adjusted our survivors' benefit payment to a percentage of the age pension minimum. Widows, widowers, and dependent parents will receive 100% or $58 weekly, while children will receive 50% or $29 weekly of the deceased's pension. We are here to make the transition to these new changes as clear and simple as possible. If you have any questions on how these changes impact you and your family, please contact our new informational hotline at 440-6647 or visit www.nisgrenada.org. Thank you for allowing us to be your Social Security provider.
Something big is coming. It's that time of the year again when the air fills with rhythm, excitement, and anticipation. It's time for the Soca Monarch Prelims. 4 unforgettable nights, 4 electrifying venues, soca music, pulsating rhythms, and performances that will leave you breathless. July 6th and 7th, we're kickstarting at Lassager St. David, and then we're turning up the heat. July 8th, we move to Cuthbert Peters Park, St. John, and for the grand finale, July 9th, we'll be shaking the ground at Boss Yard St. Patrick. Can you feel the excitement? Every night starts at 7 p.m. sharp. Be there and experience the electrifying energy of soca. And here's the best part. All this for an admission fee of just $15. There's no excuse to miss this. So mark your calendars and brace yourself for a soca experience like no other. The Soca Monarch Prelims. It's not just an event. It's an unforgettable experience. Spice Mass, The Evolution. We'll see you there.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to the point for today, Thursday, the 6th day of July 2023. Welcome back, officers, once again. Are we talking this morning, road safety, and we want to go back to another topic that we want to focus a wee bit is issues that violate safety on the roadway. Give us some points about that in terms of the discussion this morning.
Yeah, so there's a lot has been observed from the traffic department standpoint, and not just only the traffic department, but the public at large. And we're seeing a lot of violations. We're seeing a lot of recklessness along our nation's road. And some of the issues violating safety, we're talking about recklessness along our nation's road, dangerous driving. We're seeing persons doing maneuvers that are risky, poses danger to themselves, to other road users. We also have speeding or persons exceeding the speed limit. The speed limit is set with a lot of things in mind for safety. And we're still seeing persons are driving over the speed limit, whether it would be in the town. We know the speed limit for the town, which is 20 miles for all class of vehicles, and out of the town, 40 for private vehicles and 35 for public and goods vehicles. But persons are still not adhering to those speed limits. We're talking about things like distractive driving, where we mentioned earlier in relation to the cell phones and other things that persons do while driving. This poses a huge challenge, and that's and the end result, we've seen a lot of rear-end collision as a result of that. Persons are distracted by driving and run into the back of another vehicle, etc. and also fatigue driving. We cannot finish employ on fatigue driving as we approach the carnival season, where a lot of shows are scheduled and persons intend to partake in those shows, and you go all night and intend to drive the morning after that show. Take a rest. Fatigue driving is a serious problem where we have a lot of persons ending up in collisions after they come out from long extended shows and so forth. Also we have tailgating goes with in terms of distracted driving. You're distracted and you see the drive too close in front of behind the vehicle that is in front of you, and you get a sudden stop and you have another area in collision again. Failing to obey traffic signs and signals are serious problems, and we have been speaking about that from time to time on the show, and persons must understand that they must obey traffic signs at all times. They are placed there for a particular reason. And also for riders who use bicycle and bikes, having the proper equipments and gears and so forth while they're riding at all times to ensure their safety.
All right. In some of the issues that you have spoken about, which one we see as being more prevalent here in Grenada?
More prevalent right now, we can speak about the distractive driving, in terms of using the mobile devices and whatever distraction that person have. Because as I stated earlier on, that driving requires a level of focus and attention, and you need to give while you're driving that focus, because remember, anything can happen at any time. Sometimes you have to make a sudden stop. You have to be focused. Ambulance approaching in an emergency, you have to be able to hear so that you can take the necessary course of action, pull to the side and give enough space and so forth. And if you're distracted, you would not be able to do that. And one thing I didn't mention also is the drinking or driving under the influence of alcohol. And we're seeing a lot of persons are being arrested and charged for the offense when we visit accident scene, or just mere observation where you observe a driver driving pattern, and you stop the vehicle, and the first thing you smell from the driver's breath is alcohol. Then you subject them to an testing, and then they're over the limit. And the prescribed limit for the state of Grenada is 70 micrograms of alcohol in 100 milliliters of breath.
All right. In a better note, you should say you shouldn't drink, period, at all.
Yeah, because alcohol affects persons differently based on a lot of things. Sometimes your diet, your water intake, and so forth. Because sometimes you could drink 5 beers today and nothing, you're normal. But you didn't eat properly, you didn't consume enough water or whatever it is, and that same 5 beer cause you to react differently on another occasion.
All right. Corporal James, anything you want to add?
Yeah, regarding also one of the violations in particular, that of unnecessary obstructions. You'd observe, from time to time that, persons on our roadway, want to take a particular course of action and just want to remain in the road and creating this unnecessary obstruction, or would park in places that are a violation, parking within 30 feet of a corner, or parking on roads that are pretty narrow, and this poses a serious problem for us. What we want to advise persons is that even most persons in the use of the cell phone, okay, if you're driving, it cannot be used, but you will want to stop at a place. That's also another violation, in that, yes, you can't be driving and using the phone, but you could indicate to the officer, I stopped, but then you're now obstructing the traffic just to go about your call. So what is required of that? You get to a safe place, pull off the road, and and take that call. So we have seen also unnecessary obstruction, or persons parking in places that poses obstruction, and in particular you have in recent times where we have the emergency vehicles, the ambulance, the fire appliance wanting to get to areas, and they have been obstructed by persons without no consideration for other road users. Just park or just stop the vehicle anyway, and they're creating unnecessary obstruction.
All right. When are we going to see some serious what's the word should I put in there, where the police going to take some serious interest in terms of especially when it comes to obstruction. I know we myself, a couple Paul, over the couple of months we have spoken a lot about that, but we continue to see that violation occurring from time to time. Are we going to see the police stepping up on this a wee bit in terms of the obstruction? Because it's becoming a wee bit unbecoming right now in terms of the obstruction we see, especially from road users, especially motorists on the road. Are we going to see any real serious effort made to curb that problem?
Yes, because going forward for the especially the carnival period, we have heightened patrols in out of the town areas where they will focus on these offenses, and most of the times when on a regular we focus on the town area where but those patrols will focus on the outside of the towns where we have offenses like these, because too many times we get these calls for obstruction, and it's, as we said, it's becoming a nuisance, and much less for emergency vehicles having to traverse those areas. And we know right now, in terms of the amount of vehicles we have on our road, we cannot afford unnecessary obstruction at this time, because 1 minute of obstruction in traffic gives you a backlog of traffic from maybe here to Grand Dance. 1 minute, and we cannot afford that in this modern times. So persons, as we employ persons from time to time, but still we do not see the adherence to those instructions. So definitely we have to take the way to charging, wrecking, clamping, and so forth, so that persons would understand that we mean business at the traffic department.
I mean, programs like this do help in terms of disseminating the information, but we need to see maybe another campaign where maybe more signs are put up that indicate these things about, no obstructions or no parking and stuff like that. We put out in areas. Sometimes I understand not everywhere you can put a no parking sign.
Of course.
You understand? Not everywhere. I mean, but you need it but you have folks who would choose to, because they live there, park their car in front there, and it creates an obstruction. Certainly. You understand? I live right here, so I feel I can park there, and around 7:30 in the morning, the traffic is at a particular pace, and you park and it create an obstruction. I wonder myself if some of the individuals do think for themselves. You understand?
Because one of the things that is being highlighted ever so often in the Road Traffic Act is reasonable consideration for other road users. So this is here, you are a motorist or a person, take prudent action. You're aware, okay, I may be able to park overnight, but by 7:30, by 7, the roadway, becomes, busier. So you need to be able to take that action, that here it is, that I'm not creating or causing any obstruction by the use of my vehicle where I'm parked. Right. So we'll encourage persons to take those necessary actions.
Do you think if the police start penalizing folks some more, we probably can have a decrease in that, maybe?
Well, we have been taking action. We have been taking action. But it should be togetherness. Involving the.
There's some notification we're given from time to time, and then if it continues.
Certainly.
I know, Comrade James, you laugh because I know folks have been told about it multiple times, and it continues. And it continues. And it's becoming a nuisance, honestly. I know of a particular roadway that I take every morning, drop my children to school, and that there's a particular vehicle that is parked there, and I understand the individual lives next door. You understand? His house is there, and it's creating a really obstruction, especially in the morning. Sometimes one side of the vehicle is coming along and you park there for 10 to 15 minutes. You understand? Because the other vehicle ain't going to give way to you until they come to the final one to the back. And so that because of the amount of vehicles that is coming there at a particular time, you were there for 10 to 15 minutes parked, and then as you said, once you stop for a minute, there's at least 20 vehicles behind you. Yeah. You understand? I think something really needs to be done about that. Something on a serious level needs to be done at that. We drew for a little break. Let's take it, then we come back and we chat some more. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point for today, Thursday. We're talking with the Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force. We're coming right back. Stay with us, folks. Don't touch it out.
King of the Grill 2023 is made possible by Quartz, Grenada Limited, Rubis, the National Lotteries Authority, Coca-Cola, Coyapa Beach Resorts, and Duty Free Caribbean Holding. GBN Television News at 7, a pulse on all things Grenadian. Look out for our new features through expanded synergies with our media partners in Barbados, St. Lucia, Jamaica, Trinidad, and beyond. Capturing the latest in news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Credible, informative. Thank you for making us number one. News at 7, live, Monday to Friday on GBN Television, Channel 7 and 11. K105.5 and 105.9, Hot 98.5 and 98.7, GBN Television Facebook page and YouTube channel, and www.gbn.gd. GBN, with you anywhere and everywhere.
It is important to know what your road signs and markings means. The zigzag lines means you should not park in the marked area. Parking is allowed inside the solid white lines on the edge of the road. Remember, look out for pedestrians. Pedestrians, be sure the vehicle comes to a complete stop before crossing. These tips can save your life. These tips can make our roads safer for all users. Be safe, be seen, be smart. A message from the Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's to the point for the day, Thursday, the 6th day of July, 2023. And with us this morning, the Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force. We have Constable Troy Paul with me and Constable Philip James. Now, our next segment in the conversation we want to get into, there's always the option where the Traffic Department would like to give out information pertaining to the safety and responsibility of driving. What are some of those tips you would like to share, especially with listeners and viewers this morning, drivers on the nation's road, in terms of safety and responsibility and responsible, I should say, driving? Who wants to take up the mantle on that?
So yes, I like to employ on drivers. I'll start with drivers. That before you leave for any destination, especially if you're leaving home in the morning to go to work or anywhere you have to go, to check your vehicle. Just as how you check to see if your vehicle have gas to get to your destination, check your vehicle to make sure that your lights are working properly. Or I know sometimes they might complain and say that if they're there, somebody they cannot check all the lights, but get somebody to assist you. Make sure that all your lights are working. Make sure that your tires are in good working condition. Make sure that every part of your vehicle that allows it to get to your destination is working properly. You check for your oil to see if your oil is topped up. You check your to make sure that your vehicle does not overheat and so on. Check your vehicle before leaving home. That is paramount. Because as we said, vehicle do malfunction from time to time.
You know, there's something you left out. Folks have to check their mental well-being sometimes.
That is very important. Very, very important.
Folks have to check because sometimes you wake up in the morning with a certain mindset and you drive with a certain mindset. You're upset with everything that you see around you. You're driving and you're upset because somebody is driving too slow ahead of you, and sometimes your mental well-being has to be checked before you even get into that vehicle. Sometimes I think that's something very, very important that should be stressed out.
Very true, and I'm glad you brought that up because that brings about road rage.
Yes,
and we see persons becoming aggressive while driving along the road and tend to maybe speed after when maybe they have a little traffic delay and so forth. And you know what that can cause. But we want you to check your vehicle before leaving home. And as you said, your state of mind should be in one that is puts you in a position that you'll be able to drive and focus. Yes. Before you leave, buckle up. Put your seatbelt on. Seatbelts do save lives. They do, and I can attest to that.
Yeah.
And a lot of persons can attest to that. They do save life. And also encourage your passengers, if you have passengers with you, to wear their seatbelts. We mentioned lights because remember you'll be driving in adverse condition. We're into the rainy seasons, so make sure that your windscreen is properly clean and you're clear from all view of obstruction and so forth. Your lights are working properly, as we've mentioned earlier on, because especially if you have to drive at night for visibility, you must have proper visibility in order to maneuver to get to your destination.
It's also important that folks, you will think that someone wants to drive a defective vehicle. You understand? I mean, there are some folks who consider themselves drivers, so they could care less about the functionality of the vehicle. All they know to do is to get in, and I have come across individuals like that. And sometimes you say, "Man, you're driving this," or you may want to drive that individual vehicle, and you realize, hey, and you may mention to them, your brakes is not up to mark as it should. You understand? But sometimes you get comfortable driving a vehicle the way it is, and so it's probably you may know the amount of pressure. I may know I may not need to apply that amount of pressure for brakes in my own vehicle, but then I go to drive yours and I realize I'm hitting right down in order to stop. So you wonder, why would an individual even consider driving vehicles and then know that have a level of is not up to mark in regular way of speaking. You understand, and it has an effective problem.
Yeah. So what you recognize is that as a motor vehicle or any structure altogether, wear and tear do take place. So we want to encourage persons to continue to have regular maintenance of those vehicles. Having those checks done will put you on par, as to know, the durability or how long I can sustain a particular, course of action, But what we encourage is that you have your vehicle regularly, regular maintenance, have those checks done. In so doing, also regarding a safety tip, we want to advise persons to leave in adequate time for your destination. Yeah, that helps, but we also want to encourage other persons or drivers or motorists on the whole that you drive purposeful on the road. So here it is that you're not wanting, you pull to the side and let other persons who want to go, let them go ahead. Instead of you purposefully, preventing or obstructing other persons from passing, and you just, you're on your merry way and you're not too bothered.
You're late and you want to speed. You understand?
What I'm saying is that, but then you want to be purposeful on the road. Yeah, very, very purposeful about what you want to do on the road. Driving requires, that level of concentration and that being that frame of mind to take evasive action. But at the same time, you're the driver, you cannot purposefully want to block other persons. So we're asking that if you're not busy, you're not in a hurry, but we're not asking you to rush. Stay within the speed limit, but at the same time, be purposeful. I'm not in any rush to get to my destination. Allow persons who want to get along to do so. Because what you might want to do is that, 20 minutes from here, when I get to a certain place, there may be bottlenecks. So you want to be ahead of that and, be able to deal with those situations. So we just want to encourage persons to be purposeful about driving and not just in the old leisure time, usually say it's not a Sunday morning, not a Sunday afternoon drive.
Right. Any additional tips, Corporal?
Yes, there's a lot of road safety tips that we can, but we're still not limited to those that we speak about this morning. In terms of we want persons to drive within speed limits. As we said, they're there for our safety. If you have to drive, do not drink. You get a designated driver. Your packet. There's a lot of alternatives that we can use.
Something I want you to reiterate for me, because I know we say from time to time, but I think it's sometimes things have to be said 100 times before it sinks in, most of them. Repeat the speed limits for drivers for me, please.
Yes. So I want to make this abundantly clear to all drivers, whether riding or using a motor vehicle, that for the towns in Grenada, the speed limit is 20 miles for all classes of vehicle.
Yes.
Whether it's truck, bikes, buses, 20 miles per hour. And for out of the town, we have 35 miles per hour for public service vehicles, that is the buses and the taxis.
Yeah.
And good service vehicles as well. Those are the sales at the trucks. It's 35 miles per hour.
All right.
And for the private vehicle, which the registration P is 40 miles per hour. So the highest speed limit we have in Grenada is 40 miles per hour, and that is for the private motor vehicles. So you should not be driving above 40 miles per hour.
All right. Let's get into another bit of conversation. Let's talk about the issue that can be caused by, mechanical defects. We spoke a little bit about that this morning in terms of checking your brakes and so on. What are the, issues that can occur, especially if you're driving a vehicle with mechanical defects?
Yes, what you can, in the sense that here it is that you're driving and your braking system is faulty. You're required to take those action or to reduce your speed of your vehicle. As much as you may want to ease off the accelerator, but at the same time you want that vehicle to stand. You recognize the terrain of or the basic topography of our land or landscape. You need your vehicle to stand. So your braking system should be able to hold that vehicle at every time. Your transmission, the whole issue of you having those checked, because you just need the vehicle need to be functional to to be able to take you from place to place and to be able to do so safely. Here it is, your tires are not properly maintained, so you leave your home or you leave a particular destination, it's dry, but you drive 20 minutes, you're into another area and it's wet. Here it is that you need to have proper tires, that your tires can withstand and stand on those wet roads.
Yes.
Your lights, in that you're able to have sufficient visibility ahead of you, so that you can take those kind of actions. In particular, you have persons who travel over the Grenada, and at times how cold it can get and how misty. So you need to be able to have those visibility. You need to have timely replacements of your wiper blades, because you're gonna need them. You do need them, So it's important that general maintenance continue of your motor vehicle. This is what you're gonna use. This is what provides you with convenience to get from place to place, and we just want to encourage persons to just maintain to continue maintaining your vehicle. We know one of the challenges that maybe I have recognized it myself is that the amount of mechanics that are available for the amount of vehicles that we have on island, But we want to encourage persons to become knowledgeable of the vehicle and not just be a driver, but you have knowledge and and that kind of maintenance what is required of your vehicle. So as much as possible, you may take your vehicle to a mechanic, but you can make inquiries.
Yes.
What do I do when I observe this on another occasion? This helps, so that here it is that you're able to
save you time and cost.
Certainly, yeah, because here it is that my mechanic said when I observe I should not drive. So you understand and you can take those kind of action and save time and cost.
All right. Anything you want to add to that, couple? In terms of when we're still talking about mechanical defects?
Yeah, just to add, just to reiterate in terms of maintenance. As we say, sometimes you buy a vehicle. Some of us don't know much about mechanics
or the mechanical working of the vehicle, and we could drive it.
Yes, and then sometimes you might be aware of a particular issue, and then because most we can do as drivers, sometimes we can change a tire, and but some of us attempt to change brakes, and we do not know about the whole mechanical aspect of that vehicle. And we see in a lot of roadside garages where we bring our vehicle by, and these persons are not certified.
Yes,
and they do not understand the dynamics of how a particular part should work after we change it, what we should do, and everything. Some may have, but at the end of the day, a lot of these garages are not fully established in terms of persons certified in relation to that. And then we're seeing a lot of mechanical failures occurring in vehicles, and that is one of the reasons for that. We know that they assist in terms of providing mechanical assistance, but is the assistance what you actually need or what is actually required? That is the thing we need to think about. And even some of them ourselves, we play mechanics. And we change things for ourselves. And
I like the way you did describe it. We play.
Yeah, so well, we don't.
Tell me something. I mean, being part of the traffic department, is mechanical defects a big problem in terms of lots of the accidents we see occurring?
From time to time, it do happen because, especially in terms of brake failure, or persons claim that they're not getting brakes and so forth. Because at the end of the day, if proper maintenance of your vehicle has been done on a regular basis, weekly or however it be, especially with the buses and so forth. It happened with a lot of the old school buses and so on. And if they maintain the buses properly, then therefore we definitely not see those mechanical failures that we have, because that is a huge problem. Because remember, you would not be in control of that vehicle if you have a mechanical problem.
Yes.
And then the vehicle is left unless you have a driver that, and some of them, they will try to bang the vehicle, and that is a dangerous maneuver again, because you don't know what the outcome can be after it is banged.
For yourself and the passenger?
Well, yes, for both and other persons using the road network. Because remember, a bus can lose control while you're coming down a hill, because as we mentioned, our topography of our lands here, we have a lot of hills. And you imagine a vehicle lose control on top of Market Hill, what can happen? As we saw a few years back, where we had one of the buses lost control and ended up in the water and the Caranas, where that accident resulted in the loss of life.
All right. I'm seeing, of course, one of our viewer listener via the Facebook page saying, and they're saying as we get into the carnival season, and there's where will be pockets of functions in various villages, and there will be alcohol drinking, also where drivers are driving while impaired. The question: what will be the random roadblocks and breathalyzer tests on weekends and most of the events happening? Also, what is the penalties for the WI, as we would say, on vehicles to be impounded? Especially they do that a lot in the US. They're saying, would that be implemented here in Grenada? I know that we know that these pocket activities are going to be happening for the carnival seasons. Any plans from the Royal Grenada Police Force to deal with that?
Yes. And more so as we approach the carnival season, we already have a plan, and it's already in progress, where we have heightened mobile patrols. And with those mobile patrols, you will get from time to time speed checks. Officers will be out there with their radar guns conducting speed checks. Also, we have certified breathalyzer operators, which include myself,
yes,
where we'll be out there, and already have been out there, where those events are, and from time to time where persons have been in an accident, where we test persons and they were over the limit and they were arrested. So we will continue to heighten those patrols wherever those activities are, not only where they are, but on a regular. We will be out there doing those tests and those patrols where those parking along the road will cause obstruction, where we have to deal with them, and we will take the necessary action through clamping, wrecking, and so forth, and deal with persons who are driving under the influence of alcohol. Once we smell alcohol on your breath, and we subject you to a test, you're over the limit, you will be arrested, because we know the outcome of driving under the influence.
What are the penalties that can derive from driving under the influence of alcohol?
Yes, so one can be charged up to $2,000 in the first instance and 12 months in prison for that offense.
All right. We drew for a break. When we come back, viewers and listeners, if you do have a question or two you would like to ask Constable, of course, I keep saying Constable, my apology again, Corporal Troy Paul and Corporal, Philip James. My apology for saying Constable. I don't know why Constable seems to always be sticking in my mind for some reason. Yeah, I don't know. I've been doing that to Corporal Troy for a wee bit now. My apology once again. Let's take that break, and when we come back, if there's a question or two you would like to ask, please feel free to do so. 435-2041, 435-2041. We're coming right back.
Chop.
Coming up, visitors just keep flowing into Jamaica. We'll tell you why. There's hope for pancreatic cancer patients, thanks to top medical experts with assistance from the corporate world. The Commonwealth Youth Games are on the horizon, and the Caribbean's top junior athletes are already in fine form. One of the best getaway resorts, a serving of nature's gifts. It's all coming up on this station.
Diabetes now is so prevalent that if we're not careful, we might be one of the last generations to live longer than our parents and grandparents because it's shortening our lifespan.
Learn about prevention, how it is treated, and how we can live with diabetes in our communities. Join us on Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Whoa. Rock the box, we say, yeah. GBN, we say, arts and culture living, yeah. Rock the box, we say. I'm telling you, rock the box, rock the box, rock the box, we say. I'm telling you, rock the box, rock the box, rock the box, we say. We'll be jamming here on a Thursday. It's a
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's to the point for today, Thursday, the 6th day of July. We go into the telephone. Let's see who this caller has to offer this morning. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. I hear talk about motorbike riding on the front wheel and the back wheel alone. I hear talk about vehicles with bullets in the muffler running day and night. I hear something about that. I'd like to hear something.
Caller, could you repeat what you were saying? We sort of missed the information. You were trying to, could you repeat what you were trying to say, caller? Could you repeat what you were saying, caller?
I say, I didn't hear anything about motorbike riding on the front wheel only and the back wheel only in traffic.
All right, caller. The caller is trying to say there's folks motorbikes riding on their back wheel only. I know there are folks who do their little stunts and stuff, and I know there are folks who probably practice it on the roads from time to time, but I'm not sure. I guess the most one you could say is just don't practice these things on the public roads. I mean,
it is an offense. It is an offense to, as we said, the term there's called, you're popping a wheelie. Yeah, it is an offense, and it is a means of dangerous or reckless driving as a driver, having that two-wheel in the air. Because remember, you have to focus on
the public road.
On the public road, yes. And once person has been caught, you have to face the consequences of your action. But most of the time when they observe police around, you don't see those actions by these persons. So it's definitely, as I normally would say, the public have an obligation as well from time to time when they see those things to report it to the police so that they can deal with it. Because most of the times when you observe and the police get there, you do not meet those persons because, as I said, they would not do such thing in the presence of a police.
Let's entertain another call. Caller, good morning, welcome.
Good morning, gentlemen. Now, for the past years, I'm listening to accident happening in Grenada, and I show you I've got an elderly man who died from accident in Grenada for the past years gone by. All is young, show off, caravan, boats and braggers who could drive faster and who could fly like they could ever plane. Now the cars they make these days for the Caribbean and for the world is plastic cars they making. Standing pan making them with fiberglass and plastic cars they making and things, which is an engine of fly. So when you're flying on the ground like a plane and a bounce, you must have been died in it, but then learning. Others died before in the past, others coming in learning still. Motorbike is the same thing to man, speeding man dying from motorbike, others coming in still learning. Now the speed limit in Grenada says 40-something miles an hour in Grenada. Why do you not allow the company overseas from sending cars to Grenada not more than 40 miles an hour? Ambulance and fire brigade could drive 50, 60 miles, no problem. But private vehicle, 40 miles directly, you can go faster than that. But now man have a speed limit over 100 miles an hour, we can drive 45 miles and 25 miles. I just see people pass around the area where I live in, like they fly with a plane on the ground at night time. So if you have direct speed limit 40 miles, nothing more than 40 miles coming in Grenada. And anything after that, fire brigade and the ambulance. But you can tell a man 100 miles an hour in front of you, when he put it on it was 30, 40, 50, and he have him say 60, 80, 100. He flying with that. You can who there, you can, who come in, the way he just flying, get up and spreading to and feel like out of a plane they're flying with. People are right to walk the road, just as human being. But man, I know something wrong in Grenada, People bouncing all over the place, bouncing. If you get a license and you can drive, take your time and drive now. They have on the side, they have on the speed and they can drive, you can have the club, and all about your sit down is bounce in the bounce, but all the bouncing and all the boss, I don't understand what we have one accident in Grenada. I'll come to Grenada. Have a nice day.
All right, caller, thank you. Any response to the caller? What he spoke about? Anybody want to respond to it?
Well, in response to that caller, you just want to continue and implore and encourage and, as person to be responsible, You recognize, yes, we can, but the action is left to you, that you are responsible for your actions. And even there, in violation of those regulations, you'll have to stand the consequences for your action. But we just want to encourage persons to be responsible, continue to be responsible on our nation's roads, and stay within the speed limit.
All right. Let's entertain another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, Mr. GT, and good morning to your guests. GT, I've been listening to all the programs and so forth, and year after year, we keep saying the same things, and it seems that there's been no change in the human behavior, no change in their attitude. They don't care, right? So the person, what we need to concentrate on is changing or transforming the human person. That's where the problem lies, The problem don't lie with the car or the bike or the things that we use. The problem lies with the human person. So the concentration for change is to change the human being. When that human being is changed and transformed, everything else will fall into place. The problem is humans. Because, just listen to what your last caller said. It's the human beings. So this is what I keep saying. The change we need, the differences we need to see, it is in the human person. And that could only be attained when the human being is turned to God. Because Satan, what we don't like to hear about, he don't like his business to be exposed. He is walking in the human person. But when there is a transformation and Jesus is the person in charge of that human person, things are different. So the problem is not the vehicle, not the signs we put up on the road that is missing or anything. The change need to be made in the human being. Thank you and have a blessed day.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. As we move on this morning here on To The Point, we're taking some of your calls. Just a few more minutes left on today's program. Corporal, James, you didn't mention that about some of the upcoming, of course, traffic, of course, rules that the department will be taking up as we proceed into especially the calmer season and so forth. Do you want to mention that?
Yes, we just want to take the opportunity to inform the public and, that as part of our operations for this festive season, that there will be checks. There will be traffic checks. Those checks, would occur even more often. So we just want to look forward to your basic cooperation and, an understanding regarding those checks. Those checks would happen basically day as well as night. We recognize from those checks that we have reaped some success, in particular in dealing with persons who are driving without license. But at the same time, we just want to encourage you as a friend, encourage your friend, direct him, go attain your license. There are the necessary procedures in you acquiring your license. Direct your friend to go check his license. You see a friend, or any other person, these checks have been done. We just want to encourage you that, just be prepared for those checks. Basically, we will be checking for driver's license, your insurance, and a general view of your vehicle. We just look forward that you will be prepared in those ways and that you're prepared to cooperate with the police regarding those checks.
All right. All good. Let's take another call. Caller, good morning. Welcome. Let me get that there. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Morning.
Hello. Good morning to you. Go ahead with your contribution, please.
Again, nice program with the law, but I'm Grenadian, but I don't really live in Grenada presently. But when I look at how our society is in Grenada and other Caribbean countries, and I would say most black countries, the easiest place to get arrest is in black countries, or if you're black, globally. So if you're living in North America, police will go after black people more, whether you're wrong or you're right. Because you're black, you're in lower class. In the continent of Africa, a lot of countries run by military. In the Caribbean, we say it's democracy. But I just watch in Grenada and other Caribbean islands, and I see police that arrest people. They just tell you under arrest and you have to go. If you fight, you will be charged. And a lot of things the police does charge people for in the Caribbean, I find is nonsense. But what I observe is that I could speak for Grenada. Police got a lot of power. The law in Grenada haven't been revived to make it more civil. People don't lose any psychology or to deal with human beings and so. So you could just argue with the police and you arrest you in Grenada. But my question is, being as we don't evolve in being more civil, why is it people, civilians, still acting ignorant? So could it be that our system, they say when you abuse people, the abuse way, it never goes. So perhaps because black people been abused over the years, they're still rebelling, thinking if you don't obey the law, that's the only way you're against the state, so you don't obey law. Because I watch a lot of things in Grenada on GBN News and MTV, how police arrest people in Grenada. And if it's so easy for you to be arrested in Grenada, why is it still people still breaking the law? So I don't understand. When we as black people will ever grow beyond and we could have a more civil society. Grenada is a small place. We don't have highway. Why people have to be...
Caller, take another 10 seconds and wrap, please. We strapped for time and it's almost time for us to wrap this show.
Why people have to be speeding all the time when they know it's wrong? So can the state come up with a better way of dealing with people?
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution this morning. Any response to the caller before we wrap today's program? We just have about 1 minute before we wrap. Any?
Thank you for your contribution, caller. And you said a lot, and it all comes back to one thing, that the lawlessness of persons in the state of Grenada. Because if you know that something is an offense, you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. Our laws are online, where you can have access to it, and you know those things that are offense, and you know, especially we know those common offenses. So I don't believe that person should be naive in the fact that we know that things are offenses, and yet we still do it, and we know the consequences that will happen. So if you know that something is an offense, I implore you to do not do it, otherwise you face the consequences of your action.
All right.
Simple.
We could probably entertain one more caller, and then we take a wrap for today's program. Caller, good morning and welcome. Caller, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Good morning to the RGPF guest. Yes, we have a lot of problem with the traffic. Crazy drivers, the big trucks driving as though they're on the highway, and bus drivers, and even some of the private drivers driving real crazy and wild. And I think something has to be done with that. Maybe, I only suggest that maybe the RGPF could lecture to some of the drivers now and again in certain time to get some sense and wisdom and understanding in the brain. Well, I'm a driver too, so I'm saying it in our brain. So I am glad to know that you're having this to-the-point conversation, and I hope most of the drivers, if not all, will be listening. But I think it's a little bit too much of craziness. And then one more thing. We have, by the Tempe playing field, that side road coming from under the playing field side into the main, the drivers coming from Mount Parnassus and up, they're driving real crazy. You're taking your time to come out from the side road, and then when you get to almost to come out, you look up, you look down, nobody coming. But as soon as you ease up your foot from the brakes and touch the gas a little bit, coming up very slowly, you see a guy coming on the road X to board, and he wouldn't even slow down. So I don't know what needs to be done there. It is some kind of a hump or whatever. But I'm suggesting that, to the officers, to the RGPF people, that something should be done in that area and many other areas. But the truck drivers, you have to throw yourself almost in the drain or gutter to get away from some of them. They're driving crazy and wild. So some lecturing has to take place or should be taking place with them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. I think that will be our final caller for this morning. Any response to the caller's remarks? And let's get some closing remarks before we take a wrap for today.
In so doing, we just want to encourage again that, persons to stay responsible. Even after the festive season, you have your life, you have your family to support. There's other activities, there are other engagements. We just want you to stay responsible. On our nation roads, we want to encourage our pedestrians to make themselves visible. Be attentive, be purposeful, and show good prudence in using our network of roads.
All right.
Yes. Added to that, as you said, everybody have an obligation. As a driver, as a pedestrian, we have an obligation. And as we employ on persons, let us be responsible as drivers, because we are responsible for our action. And therefore, our action is what cause us to have safer roads in Grenada. So we've said a lot this morning in relation to driving safety in terms of mechanical defects, getting your vehicle service, all the tips that we've disseminated this morning. I trust that it will reach the listening ear that it has to, and that the persons will apply those tips and the measures that we disseminated this morning so that we can have safer road. And I always like to use this slogan from the Tourism Authority that they say tourism is everybody's business, but I like to say that the road safety is also everybody's business, and we all have our part to play, even as drivers, pedestrians, even passengers and passers-by on our road network. So let us do our part so that we can make our road safe for all road users.
Thank you, officers, once again for being here on the program this morning. It was a pleasure having you and sharing information that you did share this morning. Certainly hope the viewing and listening public, especially drivers as a whole, pedestrian, road users as a whole, I should say, do adhere to all the rules and regulations. I want to thank you once again. For all our listeners, once again, thank you for participating, whether it's via a question, you sat home and you listened. Thank you for being part of To The Point. Be good to yourself and others. Have yourself a great day. That's what we say goodbye for this edition of To The Point. Goodbye, folks.